Fuck. Oh, I mean...
Mute your microphones! Oh, we're starting now. Hello! Hi, everybody. Welcome to Badgerpod Nerdcast number 47. Humans. I am your host, Brian Martinez, and I'm joined by, our Badgers. So let me go around and introduce these forest creatures. Allison?
Forest creature.
Yeah, you're a forest creature. You're a critter.
I'm a critter.
I like the word critter, actually.
All right. Yeah. I guess it could work.
You're a critter of the northern wilds.
I could be a fox.
You're a badger. Rachel.
What does the fox say? What does the fox say? Or the badger say? What does it say? It says...
Someone...
Feminism is basic.
Shit. I don't know what that was. I apologize.
I don't know what the fuck it was.
Yeah, I thought somebody was driving a car into...
It sounded like fucking Snidely Whiplash, or that goddamned mutt from, like, what was it, the Wacky Races or something?
Oh, yeah.
So you guys... Okay, you guys are speculating on what a badger sounds like. You've never actually heard a badger in the wild. This... Because it sounds sort of
Well, I've never
like
heard a badger on the internet, is the thing.
That sounds...
I'm sure they do sound like the noise you make.
I've encountered a badger on the road
Prove
when I was running. Yeah, no, when I was running on a road in the middle of the country, I encountered a badger. And actually, I saw it first, and then it saw me, and then it backed up, and it arced its back, and it made... And I was like, okay, you get that side of the road. I'm going to the other side of the road, and maybe beyond that side of the road to some other part of the country that isn't nearby you.
I was very well intimidated by that.
So it's Snidely Whiplash, basically.
It's a very good story, but the sound itself doesn't translate well through the compression of Google Hangouts sort of sound. So to us, it just sounds like...
That's exactly the sound I made. Mike?
Okay, well, all right. We're both better at this than we should be.
Okay, all
We're
right.
even too competent to be incompetent properly, Alison. We can't do anything right.
Wait, I thought I was trying to be competent. Oh, God, I'm confused. Let's continue with the show.
All right, anyway. So, yeah, everybody's already started talking, so there's no point introducing people. But Rachel's...
Yeah, I'm a thing, too. I'm a thing, and you can't prove I'm not.
And Mike...
No, that's not the right word. It's not Mike.
Wait, did I...
It's walk.
It's pronounced God.
But I thought you were an atheist, Mike. Does that just mean that you don't believe that you don't? Oh God, yeah. But then he doesn't.
God's not a. It's just a sound that we're making. It doesn't mean anything.
He doesn't believe in himself, basically.
It's just noise coming from the mouth hole.
Well, surely God doesn't believe in a higher power, or he wouldn't be God. So God must be an atheist.
And if we're made in the image of God.
No.
And yeah, there you go.
Okay, this is.
I know what the inside of my asshole looks like.
Yeah, it looks like us clinging to the sides. All right, so let's just do the mailbag. I mean, it's not getting worse.
We got a
empty the heavy sack.
Yes, let's empty the sack.
Let's do it.
And for the love of
I'm
God,
sorry.
let's ramp us up.
Bust out the honey sack.
Geez. Actually, apparently my husband has located the sound of honey badgers. Do you guys want to hear it? Because it's horrifying.
I hear it.
Yeah, we're hearing something now.
Yeah, sounds like gas.
I feel like this is not safe for work. Like we're hearing orcs mating.
Yeah, that's a good way of describing it. Orcs mating. All right, let's do the mailbag thing.
Or someone killing an elephant.
Now that we've chased off our entire audience.
Sounds a lot like Tasmanian devils. I think that's where they're called devils, because people hear them over the hills and they think, "Fuck me, that's the devil." Much like
these were actually
our friend the honey badger.
Yeah, these were actually honey badgers, and it sounded like someone was being murdered.
Do the mailbag.
Yes.
Now.
All right. Yes.
Wait.
Andrea P says, "Hi everyone. I was wondering if you could do an episode or part of an episode concerning Renaissance men. What I mean is people who have successfully dabbled in several fields. Oh, okay. One that comes to mind is Takashi Kitano, possibly better known as the West for Takashi's Castle. He is, as well as a TV presenter, an actor, both movie and theater, a painter, poet, a movie director, a stand-up comedian, and right now I can't think of more, but I'm sure there are. I'm sure. Okay, so I guess she's suggesting we do Renaissance men, people with talents in multiple fields. That's an interesting topic.
We are Renaissance men.
Are we?
And women.
I was just thinking,
Interesting.
I'm missing a part there.
I don't like the fact that Renaissance basically translates into born again. Do you know what I mean? It's like a secular version of born again Christian.
Yes, there.
I'm not actually.
That's just me and my little etymological tricks I play with myself. Ignore me.
Yeah, let it play with yourself.
Exactly. Mike, just go play with yourself, and we will continue.
And if you turn on the webcam, you can make it.
Will do.
Yeah.
you guys carry on. I'll be here. In the background.
Go cuddle your Sargon body pillow.
Play with your
18-year-old here.
Don't let your thoughts distract you or anything.
You guys think that's an embryo?
Someone should.
Okay, all right.
Everybody, just make that and send it to Mike. It's a Sargon.
Everybody, the silliness quotient is too excessive. There is too much silliness. Okay. JJTM says, about humans, I think you guys should watch it and then discuss. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save this one because it ties right into what we're actually going to discuss today. So, Sir, the Swede gives us his usual haiku-ish, or extended haiku. Hi, Badgers. My geek subjects hasn't entered the shows so far, maybe. The Pink Floyd show was a big surprise and a treat. I listened to your shows for the underlying thread of male theme and thereabout. Now comes a confession. I'm not at all familiar with many cartoons and subjects and games you talk about, so I thought therefore I would say what I am familiar with. The only game I have played is Dungeon Siege. In the 70s, I grew up with Prince Valiant, Tintin, Asterix, and some Lucky Luke. I don't like the black and white ones. Maybe you could do a show with oldies. Maybe there is one person like me that is listening. Kind regards, the Swede. I think that's a good idea. Actually, do old cartoons. Maybe we could do something on the subject of the cultural problems of old cartoons and why they shouldn't be erased because of them. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, this this thing. I wanted to mention something about Tintin. I never read it. Like, I don't know what it is, but at least here in Chicago, we don't have access to it at all. And I had this friend who I met at my job who was from Turkey, and he was a humongous Tintin fan, and he knew all about it. And he would talk about it, and I'm like, what? And so I guess we can. The thing I guess would be is that there is some cultural like gaps, and I'd be really interested to see what kinds of things people in other parts of the world were watching when I was watching stuff. Like, isn't there Action Man or something that the British people like to watch? Is it called Action Man? I don't know. I forget. But I've never heard of it.
Not to my knowledge. There's probably some equivalent that I'm not thinking of.
What about Danger Mouse?
Is it? No,
Danger Mouse is actually supposed to be a little funny sort of cartoon.
Yes.
I remember.
It's not even toy-based. Like, most of the cartoons from the 80s were based on toys, but Danger Mouse
Penfold.
It was just a cartoon for the sake of a cartoon. That's why it was so random.
Guys in the chat, if you know what I'm talking about, there's some British, like, sort of mainstream. I mean, I don't know if it's British, but there's some European mainstream cartoon.
He's a typical British crime fighter, basically. He's a mouse, and he's got one eye.
Assistant named Penfold.
And no one could figure out what animal Penfold is. Anyway,
I didn't even know what Penfold was. Yeah.
I can certainly talk about like Tex Avery and Looney Tunes and stuff. That shit was really inappropriate.
Well, there was actually a Tintin cartoon, and I actually watched that when I was much younger. I think the reason why you probably have problems getting hold of Tintin is actually because the original Tintin had some things that were not politically correct, and are deemed by a lot of people as being defensive, because one of the things that happens is that in European countries, they don't have as much hang-ups about racial stereotypes and things like that, because they don't have our particular history. And so with that, they're a little bit more, and it's really, really old too. So that was kind of, I guess, okay to some people back then.
To be honest, I think we all calmed down a bit after the two big old wars there, but it's only taken a few generations for that to kick off again in sort of this weird reverse social justice direction. Yeah, there's no shortage of just, I don't know what the word is for it, neo-racism, I guess.
But they cut a lot of that out.
Western Europe.
So that wasn't there in the cartoon, but Tintin is actually a really interesting story.
Okay. We can do this as a topic. It sounds like it is a topic that everybody will have something to say on.
Johnny Quest.
All right, yes. No more. That's it.
Jerry is outrageous.
Christopher G.V. Hey, yeah. Have you ever noticed how pop songs written by men tend to be heavy on, I would die for you, you are everything to me, let me give you stuff, while songs written or at least performed by women seem to be heavy on, what have you done for me lately? You should have put a ring on it. I'm worth it. You know I'm never wrong. You're lying. You done me wrong. He's no good for you, etc. Is this because the female power dynamic of being the victim is so woven into her DNA that they become most driven and creative when aggrieved? When men are in love, they become the most creative and motivated, but with women, they seem to put the most effort into revenge. And is it solely on the side of the writers-performers, or is it a cynical ploy on behalf of the music industry because the overwhelming majority of their products come from teenage girls, like the game industry is based on boys, and they know that boy-bashing songs sell better? Just an idea for a topic. Cheers. Christopher.
Well,
Oh, wait, no, he's giving me a pronunciation guide. Let me see if I can get myself through it.
Really?
Christopher. Oh, you're one of those, are you?
Well, with what
Am I
you...
detecting a little salt, milady?
As you are detecting a lot of salt.
The salt must flow, Allison.
Problem officer. With regards to what you're saying, it's stuff like that makes me miss bands like Led Zeppelin that just sang about wanting to give you every inch of their love.
Awesome. No, but it does seem to be sort of a pattern. It does seem to be a pattern.
That was in the background of the song.
No, that's actually a good idea, I think, for a show topic, because I've had a lot of problems with the newer music that's come out, and I feel so fucking old just even thinking about it. But I remember the first time I heard a Taylor Swift song. It was her very first song, and I was like, this is really bad. This is really, really bad. And just, yeah, I've had issues with
it does seem to be a consistent theme.
And
it does seem to be a consistent theme. For the most part. For the most part.
Was it this bad in the 90s?
Oh my god! Like this is. Can no one hear me?
Yeah, I just. Yes, I can. I just decided to go ahead twice, and we bumped into each other twice. But so someone has to take over. Was it this bad in the 90s? Because there was Britney Spears sort of halfway doing that thing, and there was that stupid fucking Leanne Rimes song, "How Do I Live Without You." There's a lot of that sort of girl songs. I can't live without you. I need you. Blah blah, that sort of thing. But that's sort of died out in favor of the women rule the world shit, hasn't it? But yeah, that was my only comment. Allison, carry on.
Oh yes, okay. I was gonna say it does seem to be.
What I really want.
Oh fuck it. I'm just gonna sit here. I'm just gonna sip my cappuccino. I'm just gonna let you guys talk, because obviously I'm not gonna get where I'm edgewise.
I'm just building up the salty layers because I like your salty layers. Now go.
You really want me to go somewhere with that? Like, where, sir? Where? Where does one go with that? Let's go to a new.
Well, don't turn into a pillar of salt, Allison.
Oh, shush. Even Kay says, "Hey, Badgers, I have two topics for you to discuss, except I spelled it T-O, and a compliment to Karen. She has very sexy legs. I happened to notice it with the emergency live stream after the bomb threat at SPJ Airplay. The first topic is the Trans-Pacific Partnership and how it will make anime fans, cosplayers, Anichari, and Dojin creators. Here's the link to an article I found." Okay, well, I think you need a verb in that sentence. How about impact? The Trans-Pacific Partnership and how it will impact anime fans? I mean, I love to guess at the verbs that you intended to put into your sentences, but if you're listening and you want us to actually know what you're saying, please put verbs in your sentences because they're useful. Okay, and the second topic is Master Chief and how he's dealing with his vulnerable status after losing Cortana. I get the idea from listening to Karen talking to Sargon on a live stream about how men, when they're vulnerable, are the weakest link in an army, as well as how men try to find ways to make themselves useful. Master Chief in the upcoming game, Halo 5 Guardians, is going to have a very dark story according to 343 Industries. I've read up on all the story info since Halo 4 and would take too long to explain, but my theory is this. After the loss of Cortana, Master Chief is more vulnerable than ever since he relied on Cortana for certain objectives in the story. He's trying to make himself useful in some way, not just for humanity, but for himself. Finding a new purpose is his main goal, and so he went AWOL from the UNSC with his team. Knowing that he failed to save Cortana, in the end she saved him, he begins to discover his own humanity for the first time, while being the savior of humanity that was kidnapped at age 6 and turned into a proficient killing machine. Can you guys gnaw on that for a while for a Nerdcast episode? Thanks, Evan. Well, I think we could do Halo for a Nerdcast episode. It's like one of my most favorite game franchises.
Which one?
Halo.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, did you just tune out for that entire thing?
No, I didn't. No.
Does it have enough swagger?
I did.
No, I was listening.
Rachel's so honest. Yes, I did. Whatever.
I'm ADD. Everything just kind of travels through the filter.
Flows together into one big ball of mush.
No, I'd like to talk about Halo. I have some experience with it. Also,
You sound so defeated.
For the future, guys, paragraphs and verbs.
Yes.
Both.
Oh, and also, if you want to send us stuff, send it to topic@badgerpod.com. Don't send it through the if you got something long to send, don't send it through the form on the site because it does not allow you to put paragraphs in, so everything becomes a block of text that's impossible to parse. So, yeah, send it to topic@badgerpod.com, and yes, paragraphs and verbs. Verbs are very important, and now I'm going to get a whole bunch of emails with no verbs. If possible,
just a verb. Just verbs and paragraphs. Just like run, enter, enter. Hit, enter, enter. Coagulate, enter, enter. Perambulate, enter, enter. We'll understand.
Well, certainly Mike will.
Or you can try to make it fun and write it all in hieroglyphics.
Okay, Dynasty Star ejaculates. Recently, somebody that I had just met told me about a show called Sense8 and felt like it had a Tumblr social vibe or social justice bent in it. The show is supposedly about 8 people who are all born in the same form, on the same day from, you're missing a noun, on the same day from different cultures, and their senses are linked. She gave an example that if a character is attacked and they don't know how to fight, then one of the other characters can jump into their mind and kick the person's ass. So basically they made a show about headmates and tried to seem more diverse by making them be from different cultures, is what I'm understanding from what they said. Have any of you seen the show, and do you think it would be worth doing a topic on it, kind of how you did? You talked about Gone Girl, Halt and Catch Fire, Avatar, etc. I told them that it didn't sound like it would be my thing, but I didn't tell them why, because I didn't want to discuss politics with them. Instead, I figured I'd ask you, since I respect your opinions on things like this, whether or not it's worth watching, or if it just shouts diversity.
Wow.
Also, headmates and nothing else. I find this remarkable. Now we're getting recommendations of things that people haven't watched, so you're just sort of sending us out first, like the canary in the coal mine, to see if it's shit.
Apparently, we are the vanguard.
Well, they're not the vanguard. Is the one behind the guard, so it's like
we should be the testers. We should just, we should be the ones just kind of dip
we're
our feet
audience.
into the water, and just make sure that it's okay.
The audience is the king on the throne, and we're the ones tasked with testing everything that comes before it, the food, in the plates and the bowls and stuff.
Sense8 sounds stupid.
We produced like several hours of public service announcements saying, "Don't watch *Halt and Catch Fire*; it will break your mind."
What? No, I didn't say don't watch it.
In a roundabout way, that's the impression you gave.
Oh, no, but it didn't break my mind.
So we're not hearing a no?
No one in this show knows what they're doing, and it will hurt you to watch.
Don't do it.
Okay, all right. You know what? I'm just resetting here. Peter B. Well, actually, do we want to do that? Do we want to watch this thing that this person has not watched, just to make sure that
Wait, what was it called again?
It's called Sense8. I'm
Sense8.
sensing a pattern with you there, Rachel.
I would imagine it's aging. The aging mind.
Yes. Well, you're only 30 now?
I'm gonna be 30 next year.
Okay, so you're 29. Okay, so you be quiet about the aging thing, because it's unless you're gonna say that you're old kin. You're secretly aging your mind.
I'm trans old, I suppose.
Trans old. Okay,
yeah, if you're fucked, we're all fucked.
Yeah, it's because we're quite a bit older than you.
Yes.
Peter B says the following: Hi guys, I just listened to your anime show and realized I hadn't watched any anime for a while. I was wondering if you guys could drum up a list of the top animes released over the past couple years, or if there isn't a list of anime released every season, or okay. Please make your verbs make sense in the sentences. Okay, or is there a list of anime released every season? I need to look into that. Also, I wanted to suggest a manga. Sadly, it's not animated yet, but it's called Vinland Saga. In short, it's about a boy from Greenland during Viking times, so 1500s, who ends up with a mercenary band and travels around Britain as he grows up. I believe it shares one of the writers with Berserk. At least it gives off that kind of vibe. Anyhow, give it a look, and if you have a spare list around, give me an email. Thanks, Pete. I haven't really heard of Vinland Saga. I don't think it would I think there's only one writer on Berserk, whose name I can visualize but will not attempt to say. So,
Well, type it in the chat and I can probably say it.
Okay, no, I can't even spell it. Like I can see the word.
Copy.
Wow.
But I could not possibly get it out of my head and into a form that anybody could recognize. Wow, it's sad, but it's my lot in life. Okay, Kevin J. KJ here. This really isn't a topic suggestion, because there's no possible way to deny that Princess Big Mac is best pony ever. End of discussion. Mic drop. On a more serious note, I am certain how useful the discussions... Oh, wait, this is something... sorry, this is a stray mailbag item that got into. Sorry.
How did it get in here?
How did this one get? It's because of you. You mentioned Princess.
Did you say Princess Big Mac? That's not. No. It's Big Macintosh. Okay.
Yes, I think they know that.
But he's the princess.
Yes,
No?
in their world, in their
mind, he's a princess.
Hey.
Mind canon, he's a princess.
Falling into overused, tired, gender binary language.
But you know what? I do like Big Macintosh because he's like a fucking Zen master. He's got like he thinks deep thoughts. I'm pretty sure that he's just that kind of quiet individual, but only says things when he really feels the need to. But he's always thinking.
If Princess Big Macintosh feels like a princess, then we can't. Who are we to tell him or her what they are?
Okay, so let's do a little bit of discussion about the topics. Do you guys want to do like older cartoons? I think we should probably do that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. That seemed to be really popular. So from all of these guys, I think that's the winner. So Mr. Swede, your extended haiku wins.
Can I say a quick thing about the guy who was asking about anime and stuff?
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Okay. So when anime was really, really new here in the States, we only got a very little of it. You had to go to art house theaters. You had to find secret places where they sold VHS tapes that were like $60 to watch it. And as a consequence of that, the only stuff that we actually got our hands on was the most popular stuff or the highest end stuff. And they made it pretty easy, and it was, for the most part, it was a safe bet that whatever it is you watched was going to be good, because that was all that you were getting, was whatever was the best by and large. Today, now that it's so mainstream and so popular, everything is made available, which means we got all the crap too. So it makes it harder to fish through. But I would recommend, if you're looking for, I would look at the old stuff and then see what you like in terms of genres. And then, see what. Go to websites. There's a guy who has a great YouTube channel called the Manly Anime Hero. You go to him, and he has a lot of reviews, and he goes into a lot really good in depth on anime stuff. So that's it.
All right. Okay, well, actually, there was one more. Christopher V says, I think this is the same guy that, yeah, he's also giving me a pronunciation guide. What was it? So Christopher. All right, whatever. Okay. Hello. Hey, yeah. The 1989 Steve Martin comedy Parenthood deals with a lot of family issues. It's based around the daily lives of the extended Buckman family. Martin plays Gil Buckman, nuclear family, working dad, stay-at-home mom, 3 kids. His sister is a single mother of 2. His other sister is an overachieving couplet with Rick Moranis and one overachieving child. And his younger brother is a single deadbeat dad of a mixed-race little boy. Presiding over the lot of them is a very old-fashioned domineering patriarch played by Jason Robards and his patient, long-suffering wife. It looks at a lot of different family dynamics, but one aspect stands out as something almost unique in the films of the 80s, the gender argument between Gil and his wife. Gil's wife, Karen, quote-unquote, accidentally becomes pregnant again. We know it's accidentally because early in the film, she confides in her sister-in-law that she doesn't want to go back to work and wants another baby. And her other sister-in-law also sabotaged a contraceptive device to make a similar unilateral decision. This put Gil in the unenviable position of having to spend even more time away from his family in a job that he hates. But in the argument he actually articulates the problem. I guess that's the difference between men and women. Women have choices and men have responsibilities. And for a traditional family structure, he's right. Just thought you guys might like to dissect the film. It's a good watch and there's lots of meat for thought. Cheers, Christopher. All right. That's technically, according to the Center of Disease Control, that is a form of domestic abuse. And I'd just like to lay that out there. Unilaterally or sabotaging or getting pregnant or trying to get your partner pregnant against their will is considered a form of domestic abuse by the Center of Disease Control. So essentially This is a story. This is a light comedy about a woman abusing a man. It's not unexpected because that seems pretty typical, but I just wanted to put that out there. You don't do that.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. But it sounds like something we should definitely look into.
Yeah, to consider, yeah. But I think the old-timey cartoons and the Master Chief, those are the 2 topics I think were the most interesting, at least to me.
Yep.
I'm not sure how much more we could get out of Parenthood, comedy Parenthood. Ugh, I don't even want to watch that because it's probably played for laughs, right? Ha 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 ha. He has no bodily autonomy. Ha 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 ha. All right, let's do the final piece of mail. Dun dun dun. You guys are just like quietly watching me.
Dun, dun,
I'm waiting for the last piece of mail.
GJTM. About humans. I think you guys should watch it and discuss. We have. This is the show on humans. For there is a lot more than just some misandry about men's sexual nature. In fact, you might say that it, like other AMC show that Allison especially likes, Halt and Catch Fire. That's like, okay, Halt and Catch Fire has been mentioned 3 times in this show, and not once has it been initiated by me. I just want to point that out. This is not me doing this. All right. It's a sneaky show. It gives
I know, you're just a helpless victim, aren't you, Alison?
Fuck you.
Sorry.
Mike.
She doesn't want to talk about that show. She doesn't want to talk about it at all. It was done against her consent.
No, I don't mind talking about it. Obviously, I talk about it quite a bit. And you know what? I'm not going on that topic. It gives you some expected stuff up front to hook all the people linked to the Zeitgeist and then goes to undermine that very thing. For example, the writing is not treating its audience like they're idiots. The husband having sex with the help robot at the time called Anita, turning on her adult functions, isn't depicted as him being a perverted asshole. Quite the contrary, it comes after he calls her once again absent wife as she's going off to work. But it's half work, half dealing with her personal hang-ups with the very robot in question. And in so doing, it half behind his back. He clearly doesn't trust her and is pained by her absence, which we saw more of. But it was beyond the simple she's off to work again, as we saw earlier. The entire time there's a sensation that there's more to it than that. So he has sex with a robot. At first glance it might seem like a massive overreaction on his part until... So an episode or later, the wife confesses to her daughter that last year when she was gone for whole stretches of time, she wasn't actually at work, but she was taking care of her dying mother. A dying mother she had never told anyone about because her dying mother was deeply mentally abusive to her daughter, the wife, and went right back to being mentally abusive to her daughter even as she nursed her for the last months of her life. She explains that she never shared it with her husband and redoubled that intention when the kids came because she didn't want to expose her children to the abusiveness of her mother. Interestingly enough, the robot is present while she explains this. Abusive mother and cutting off the generational cycle. Doesn't it sound like the feminist zeitgeist or a different explanation we all know about abuse? So now the whole picture becomes clear, without actually spelling it out. That night he decided to turn her on her adult features. It wasn't the first time he felt lied to, no. He'd been lied to for months on end. And even though he didn't outright call her on it, he must have known on some level he was being lied to, and slowly over time it eroded away his trust. Here comes the further neat part. Turns out the robot was more than she seemed. She was a fully sapient, sentient, feeling android the entire time, got deleted, but managed to save herself deep down and replaced by with a standard non-sapient robot operating system. And she was aware on some level of everything that happened. She was effectively violated as if she was raped by the husband. But him not knowing, of course, means he didn't actually rape her. It was an unfortunate event. She goes to bat for the husband, the man on the other side of the sexual violation, several times over. First she stops an angry outburst by her fellow sapient androids after it's revealed he called the police and reminds them that he did it to protect his family, and that in his situation he would have done the same thing. Then later she tells the wife that no matter whether she decides to ultimately divorce him, she should tell him the truth about those months and where she was and explain to him her mother. Thus she lays at least part of the blame, if not the entirety of it, for the family trouble, including the robot sex, or I suppose accidental android violation, depending on your point of view, at the wife's feet, again without spelling it out. Anyway, keep up the good work, JG. Do you want to discuss that before we go into humans?
There's so much to unpack here, actually. Well, I think before I even read any of this stuff, what I've got written up here, we should basically describe what's going on in the show. The way that the show is laid out is that I think it's taking place in an alternate universe to our own, where I think it's the exact same time period, but the only thing different is that it's a little bit further forward in technology, and they have these androids called synths. They're synthetic humans, and now it's very easy for about every person to own one. It's like paying off a car, that sort of thing. And actually, I think they go out of their way to mention that you can pay for it sooner, get it paid off sooner than you can a car. But I don't know. It's hard to know how much cars cost them. But that's beside the point. The idea is that they approach this whole topic through several different ways. One is a group of androids and a cyborg. Another is you are following the aging creator of, I think, the first prototype synth, which had happened several years before, and also this family that has 2 teenage children and one younger child who I think is about 5, and you have 2 parents who are slowly but surely their relationship is a bit strained because there's something going on there, and it's there from the get-go. And so we dive right in there when that family decides to get a synth, or more like the husband decides to get a synth because the wife isn't around as much as she used to be. So he's effectively taking care of the children by himself for the most part, and doing everything by himself, and he probably feels lonely and definitely neglected, and so he gets the synth, and that's kind of where everything starts up. Does anyone else want to say anything about this particular situation, or if they saw it? Because I should probably just start reading otherwise the bits.
Well, why don't you go ahead and do the reading?
Okay, one moment. So I thought I had that particular.
While you're getting it queued up, it annoyed me that the husband, like they have they're setting the stage, and they're showing the husband with his 3 kids, and he's like unable to handle being a husband, like a house husband. He just can't do it. The shit's like in total chaos. His kids don't listen to him.
Let me interject there for a second, Brian. He's more than a house husband. He's taking care of 3 kids.
Trying to keep a job.
While working a job.
Yeah. But he can't do it at all. Like he's just not able.
And it's also basically from the way they set it up, it sounded more like a single father situation. Where he's doing everything, and she's sort of. Yeah.
And she's like in a hotel room looking really sad because she can't make it, and I don't know. But I don't know. Like, I just it kind of, I don't want to assume that was what it was trying to say, but there is something about this kind of stereotype of the house husband that cannot do that job. He's just unable, and it kind of bugs me because I get tired of seeing it. That's just what I feel when I see that, so it just kind of bugs me.
Well, I don't know if it's quite as bad as that, because literally she is sort of abandoning the family. Yeah, and it's not a situation where he's just a house husband trying to deal with. I know what you mean.
Job. I think he's actually a supervisor. I think they show him at one point working his job. So he's not just working a job. He's managing, whatever it is he does. I think that he works in a warehouse or something. I can't remember. So something like that. So he's definitely got some kind of a higher up position. So he's dealing with all of that stuff and also dealing with the family and his troubled marriage.
So it seems more of a sympathetic portrayal. It doesn't seem quite as stereotypical as usual. Although
then things kind of go awry.
Yeah.
They really go massively, massively awry. And I don't know if it's because of someone else writing those other particular episodes or something like that, because that tends to be how a lot of these shows go, is that some people will write some episodes and some folks will write others, because there's the portrayal of men in this is kind of all over the place, especially when it deals with sexuality. It actually, I'll just read
the
this
reading. I got some thoughts on that for sure.
Okay. All right. The British television show Humans is the answer to a question: what would happen in an alternate universe where personal androids called synths were quickly replacing humans in every conceivable job in society? You might say to yourself that this has been done before, and you'd be right. But what Humans does differently is that it brings us into this world through the story of a family going through a rough patch, but also through the eyes of the man who created the first synth prototype, as well as 4 conscious synths and their cyborg brother. Humans as a show does many things right. It explores what it means to be human through the existence of self-aware androids that can think, feel, and have personalities. It forces the viewer to consider the way we as humans treat one another, and shows us what might happen if people had to worry about losing their occupations and relationships to machines that render them obsolete. But what it does wrong is that it unfairly portrays male sexuality in a harmful way. One of the conscious synths, Miska, is captured and forced to work at a brothel, where no one knows that she can think and feel like a human. She is used and abused by the men there before murdering a pedophile, and tells the madam that all men want to do what was done to her to human women. The teenage boy in the protagonist's family becomes attracted to their synth, Anita, who looks like a gorgeous model. He is shamed and called disgusting for merely having those feelings. Later in the story, when they learn that the sex feature for the synth is turned on, he is immediately blamed for it, even if he hasn't the means to turn on that function himself. In reality, it was the father of the family who decided to have sex with the synth when he felt lonely and suspected that his wife was cheating. But even though he immediately regrets it, he is exiled from the family for a time and shunned for wanting to feel momentary companionship. The teen children from that same family go to a party, where some boys decide that they want to rape a synth that they find attractive, all the while being painfully obvious that this is meant to represent what men do to women. But in the one instance where a woman is seen to have replaced her husband with an attractive synth, it isn't portrayed as negatively. Instead, the husband is seen as having messed up somehow when he saves his wife from the same synth after she has it illegally modified. All in all, the men of this story suffer the most from synths being added to society, and it only seems to intensify the pre-existing feelings of aggression towards them in that universe. So it's and it makes complete sense if you really think about it, because what would synths really be replacing in society? A lot of the manual labor that you have a lot of middle-class men used to be able to be working these jobs, and all those jobs would then go away. They would then go to machines instead. And now you have a situation where men can be replaced by a really big, attractive-looking synth guy, or women could be replaced by women, synthetic women that look like models.
Okay, I have a question. So the guy had to save his wife from the male synth. I haven't actually watched that episode. Why don't you explain what happened?
Okay, I'll tell you what happened. This is one of the side plots. There is a police officer who is investigating what's going on with that murder that was committed by a synth, or suspected to have been, at least in his mind, it's suspected. We all know because we saw it. But anyway, what ends up happening is that police officer, his wife, is disabled from previous accident, and so now they got the synth, and he's like this big, attractive, muscly-looking guy, and who obviously looks much younger and fitter than him, and so he's doing all the things that he used to do, which was help her with her physical therapy and stuff like that. And he slowly but surely sees that he is being replaced by this machine. And when he addresses it, he's met with a lot of hostility from his wife about even asking about it or even suggesting something like that. But the moment that they have a really big fight and she kicks him out, she starts sleeping with it. And then eventually he's told that he actually has to be the one to continue to make payments on it and stuff like that. And he's like, I think there's a big fuss over that. And then later on she calls him up out of the blue to help her out. And what's happening is apparently she had the synth illegally modified. It's not made clear what was modified. But I'm thinking it was to try and make him more like a man in some way, a regular man. But he's apparently being more aggressive, and so she's locked herself off in the room. So he comes in and he, of course, knocks out the synth. But then it's treated as though like he's, of course, damaged the property and went a little too far.
God, these people they're just compulsive about this shit. They just cannot help regurgitating this bullshit all over their writing. Okay, so in every instance, it's male sexuality that's the problem, including completely artificial male sexuality. It's like, do the people who write this shit ever stand back and look at this and say, hey, wow, this is really dumb.
But you know, in its defense, I would say that it's almost like that seems to be what's implied. But from our perspective as a third-party perspective, looking at all of this taking place, I don't know if there's necessarily one specific viewpoint we're supposed to feel, because from my perspective, at least, watching the husband from the family, who has that momentary, lapse and decides to have sex with the robot, he's doing it out of a sense of desperation. This is a cry for help, and he feels immediately bad afterwards, and he's visibly shaken from what he ended up doing. because he doesn't like that he did that. And yet he gets shamed and exiled and tossed out of the house. He's told he can't stay there, basically, because he did that. And then he's almost portrayed as like a bad guy for a little while, where, you know, he says, you know, basically, you know, it's a machine, it's not a human being, and that's met with hostility because everybody has attached feelings to it. They think there's something more to her in particular, but they don't know that for sure. So all of the feelings of disgust that are projected on him are done so when he did something that would have been not nearly as bad if she was just one of those regular robots. And it's certainly it's not necessarily the best thing. It's he's definitely
but the thing is that we got two situations where essentially the sexual component of the artificial lifetime is being artificial, or actually more than one. But let's just talk about the case with the husband with the female and the wife with the male one. Well, first of all, she's pursuing the sexual relationship. Two different situations. The husband pursued it out of angst, or just frustration and pain of the relationship with his wife.
Right before that happened, though, he was trying to find out because he was suspicious that she was keeping something from him. Okay, and he's under the impression that she's cheating on him, basically.
Okay, so he thinks he does it out of despair, because he wants to have this relationship with his wife, and in the other sense, the wife is simply replacing her husband with what she considers to be better.
Yeah, in this other instance, yeah, she's replacing her husband because she feels maybe he's too hostile, or maybe he's too boring, or whatever reason.
Or he's not strong enough. Actually, is the sense that I got.
Or it's never made entirely clear. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but anyway, so we have these two instances, and on the one instance, the human male character is portrayed as being a rapist because he's taking away the violation of the female synth. And in the other case, is the female character is portrayed as the rape victim because her synth becomes aggressive, and yet she was the one who put in the programming to make him aggressive in the first fucking place. So the argument there is actually, in many ways, she's even more violating than the husband, because not only is she violating someone who can literally cannot consent. I don't know how far this consciousness ability goes with the androids, and if they can be made conscious, if they remember this shit, the stuff that humans made them do. But she's not only does she have sex with someone who cannot legitimately consent, she also changes his personality in order to make him more appealing to herself. I mean, by all objective measures, she's done significantly worse, and yet it sounds like she's portrayed as being sympathetic.
Yeah,
this is complicated questions because you don't know how much do people have responsibility for what are animated sex dolls. Like, how much responsibility do you have for something that basically doesn't have feelings or consciousness? I don't know.
Yeah, and there was no way that he could possibly have known that this particular synth was different than every other one, where they're just sort of not home. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing, the uncanny valley. You probably saw it from the first two episodes that you, or the episodes that you did watch.
I have to correct myself what I said. I guess the husband also changed the female synth to have that plus 18 option, but it sounds like
it's more like he turned it on, though. It was already a feature that was there. There's a big difference between modding and turning on a feature that already exists.
Okay, so it is significantly different. So she actually changed this guy to be more aggressive, and then didn't like the results.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well,
he turned her on.
All right. So here's the issue that I have. I find this to be incredibly lazy writing. And it's boring. Like once they start in with this kind of black and white shitty writing, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm not interested anymore. It was a chore to get through the first 2 episodes of this show. After the first 2 episodes, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not watching this anymore. I'm sorry, guys. I don't want to watch this shit. It's boring. It's like watching paint dry for me. I'm not even. It's not even a point where I'm offended by this constant drumbeat of male sexuality is toxic, men rape, pedophiles, ooh scary. Oh my God, oh, but that's all this bullshit. It's not even that I'm offended anymore. I'm just bored to tears by it. And the problem with wanting to watch this show any further is that it's boring to begin with. The show is fucking boring to begin with. It gives new meaning to the term slow paced. New meaning.
I didn't think it was all that slow-paced, to be perfectly honest. I think a lot happened in every single episode, and you probably need to watch a little bit more.
No.
But this is... No, it really does go someplace, and a lot happens.
I watched the final episode. I know where it goes, but I feel no desire to watch anything further about this show. I mean, albeit I'm not a kind of person who watches TV. You have to have really, really good TV for me to even consider it. I won't even watch Mad Men. I've tried watching Mad Men. I have seriously tried several times. I cannot get into it. As soon as they start trotting out the old bullshit about male sexuality and harassment and blah blah blah, it's like, you know, I'm not. Here is a pot of paint. I will throw it on the wall and watch it dry before I watch this.
Well, again, that's the thing, though. The worst part about this, though, is actually not about, the thing is, it wasn't as overt, to be perfectly honest. It was only overt in some scenarios. Most of it was really, really subtle, the stuff, what they were trying to say about male sexuality. So it was almost like it was this kind of thing, like, oh, no, don't just kind of ignore this as we have everything else, because everything else was actually not bad. I think it went over a lot of things attached to the topic. I didn't think it was particularly terrible or lazy writing. The only thing that seemed to be lazy writing was the stuff that was dealing with male sexuality, where they seemed to be trying to drive it home that when you are put into a situation where there are these beings that you've created that can be used and abused, that the people who are going to be doing that the most somehow are going to be men.
Well, if I may, some of the questions the show asks about artificial intelligence, which that's been done many times, and you know, in other shows, in film, and I would say yes, probably better. I think that it seems to me like I'm reminded, for some reason, from the moment I started watching this, it reminded me of a Lifetime version of Almost Human, which is a show that I loved that was on Fox, at least here in Chicago. It was basically like a cop show with androids in it, but it was more like, I don't know, like it had more science fiction in it, and it was just more faster paced and action-packed, and Carl Urban was in it, and he was really good. I really liked that show. Now, I watched most of this one because I really wanted to give it a try, and I think that I would agree that, in my opinion, there were multiple stories they were doing, and I think the most attractive thing was seeing how these things were all going to converge, because you had multiple storylines going at the same time. You had all these different characters interacting with their synths or their attitudes about the whole thing in different ways. But one of the things that it doesn't really ask, because it assumes, and this is the one that I thought was, you know, would have been more pertinent anyway, in my opinion, you get this impression, at least I did when I watched it, that when the humans are interacting with their androids, or with androids, that somehow they are mistreating them, even though the only thing they're doing is treating them exactly as they are, which is objects. Now, there are some that you know, have consciousness or feel or whatever, but by and large, you know, that most people in the show are not aware of that, and they just treat them like toasters, televisions, like any other object, you know. And that shouldn't be a big deal, because morally, that is what you would treat them like. But for some reason, there is this there appears to be an attitude that to do that to these synths is it's kind of frowned on. Like when the husband sleeps with the main synth character, whose name is Anita, and I say that with no sarcasm. I wondered where they got that from, but I'm not going to touch that. And you know, he has sex with her, and he like finishes, and it's really weird, like because it's like strangely formal. She sits up, and she's like, I guess I'll go clean myself off now. You get this feeling that something dirty and bad just happened, but it's like essentially what he did was he jerked into a fleshlight that could walk and talk. I mean, that's all that happened. Like nothing untoward really happened. He had sex with a robot. It's like having a sex toy. But
or a dildo.
we were yeah, but or he watched porn while using a fleshlight. I mean, I think that we were made to feel like something bad had happened, but I was like, he didn't do anything wrong. He just jerked it. It's a machine, you know. Or like when the guys go and they purchase the sex robots, you know. And of course, yes, I wasn't happy with the fact that the men were all like these, you know, sweaty, gross creepers or weird, like socially awkward bow tie wearing English teachers that had secret, crazy, like, you know, violent fetishes, or you know, college dude bros that just wanted to like turn off a chick and take her upstairs so they can like rape her, which one of the female characters implies, even though again it's a fucking machine, and it's basically the same as, like, to me that was one of the biggest questions that, or at least topics, they didn't even brush across. They assume that you're supposed to feel the same amount of empathy for these machines, and the people on the show are supposed to feel that way, when there's really no reason for them to do that unless they are made privy to the information that you are, which is some of them, which is a small group, are special and somehow, you know, have consciousness.
Okay, can I interject for a second? Rachel, I'm going to interject. How was it portrayed when the woman started having sex with the male synth? Was it portrayed as some sort of seedy, disgusting thing?
Well, I didn't see that scene because
so I'll ask Rachel. Is that how it was portrayed?
No, it wasn't. But I do think I have an answer for why things are as fucked up on this show as they are. Guess what? No. It can be summed up in a single sentence. This show is based on a show that was originally made in Sweden.
Oh my God. Okay,
right.
Well, all right, fair enough. Yes, but I'm getting somewhere with my point. If the portrayal, because the woman having sex with the male synth is exactly as immoral as a man having sex with a female synth, and you're right, Brian, they're appliances. So essentially, the reason why we're supposed to feel that the men having sex with a female synth is somehow disturbing and morally wrong, but we don't feel the same when a woman has sex with a male synth, that we don't feel the sympathy or the empathy is simply because we believe that male sexuality is more toxic relative to female, that it's more damaging, that when men have sex, they're actually doing some harm, they're defiling their sexual partner, and that is actually, to me, I do find it offensive that people put forward this kind of trope that men defile women, or in this case they defile synths in the way that the women aren't defiling the male synths. I find that offensive, but for the most part I just find it boring. It's so done. It's done. It's done, people. It's done. It's done to death. It's not just done to death, it's been resurrected by the necromancer called Done to Death, and then done some more. And done until it was like particles, and then it was resurrected again into some. It's just done.
One other thing too, is this science fiction? I don't think it is. It's science feelings or something.
I like your quip.
What?
Holy shit, humans is corny as fuck. It's like some hippie bohemian group hug that goes on for days.
Yeah, it's what it is. It's like it's not science fiction. It's science feelings. It's like I don't know. I mean, that I didn't feel like when I watch science fiction, I like the kind of questions that good science fiction raises, and not just even when they raise the same old question, like, you know, can a computer feel feelings like a human being? Like, yes, we've seen that from fucking. It goes way back to Metropolis, you know, through several other films.
It's as though they invented robots and they accidentally invented some black robots and some white robots. And then, oh shit, we shouldn't have done that. Now there's a race war. Yeah, okay, we've done this to death. Ever since chess was invented, like, chess is the story of this, and it's thousands of years old. Can we do something else now?
Yeah, exactly. Go, Othello, whatever you want to call it. And it's been done, you know, in other places, and I think that they've raised better questions. And I don't. My thing is that I guess I'm with Allison in that I'm just bored of this as a central core concept, which doesn't actually challenge me from a sci-fi perspective. Like, I want to see, you know, I don't know. Like, I want to talk about the stuff that I saw, not be told something and then, you know, have to reflect on what I'm being told, which is, you know, you shouldn't fuck a robot when it's turned off because it happens to be shaped like a girl at the time, even though it's still just a robot. And who gives a shit?
Don't be that robosexual.
You know, I think this is a reason why Sweden shouldn't do sci-fi.
No, you defend it. You defend it, Rachel. Defend it.
No.
You said
I mean, that's not. You know. I said there were some things that were okay, but the things that I liked about the series were things that had been done by other people. But the thing that I liked that was different about it is that they tackled this in a way that the average person could tackle it, because there's a lot of different questions that are being asked here, but I think most people don't think about it, and they are able to approach all these topics through the mindset of it's just a regular family that's just going through all of this stuff. And a woman feeling as though she is being sort of replaced, and she's slowly going crazy and stuff like that because there's something off about that particular android. She's losing her damn marbles. The family dynamic is what is brought to this. But then again, now that I think about it, is that real? Are they doing anything more than really, really light sci-fi? But this is kind of why Sweden probably shouldn't do sci-fi the same way that, you know.
Sweden can do what they like. We just don't necessarily need to applaud them and say, oh, aren't they so progressive?
Like,
let's do what they did. No, we don't. No, let's not make this a competition.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, we should wrap this up because we're at the hour and we started early. And I just want to say that say what you will about *Halt and Catch Fire*. At least it didn't have this typical tropes of male sexuality is gross and vile and shouldn't be anywhere near anything living or synthetically alive. Not really alive, but just animated. Okay? Because this is like so common in so many stories. And the instant I see it, it just turns off. Like, it's like, you know that you're watching a story with people who haven't really thought about anything very deeply, morally, sexually, and it comes out in the rest of the story as well. It's just bland and dry and boring, because it's like you're not dealing with deep thinkers here, and you can present deep thoughts and interesting thoughts in ways that are accessible to people. You don't have to present stupid shit and then just warm it up slightly and say, here, fucking idiots, ingest this. I mean, you can make things that are complex presentable to people, not by making them stupid, but by making them clear.
I wonder if the original is like worse, if it has even more feminist undertones and man-hating undertones than what we got to see in the British version.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Well, and that's another thing. This is a good example of what happens when you try to make science fiction shows and try to appeal to as many people as possible. And since maybe in Sweden, maybe in the UK, maybe, you know, it is perceived that women make up the large percentage of the audience, and they think that they're appealing to them by doing things this way because they want more people to tune in. I don't know, but all I can say is that for science fiction is suffering because it's trying to appeal to people who don't deserve to watch science fiction.
Yeah,
They don't deserve it.
You
I
don't
mean,
deserve science fiction.
it's science fiction on oxygen.
Everyone deserves to watch it. They don't deserve to have it made for them.
Okay,
No,
yeah, you're right.
they-
They can watch it, but yeah, don't. But okay, yeah, okay. Let's rein in
just watch
the reading a
Scandal.
little bit.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
but it is like this is iRobot plus Lifetime. iRobot plus Lifetime. Okay?
yeah.
It's like no, I don't want the ideas about consciousness and the morality of consciousness and AI and all this shit. I don't want your stupid Lifetime. A woman has to be raped somewhere, or they have to be defiled somewhere, or blah blah blah. Like I don't want that shit in there.
It's not nearly as melodramatic as Lifetime, though. It is Lifetime at a level of shit, though, but it's not nearly as melodramatic.
Yeah, just keep your Lifetime out of sci-fi, okay?
Yeah, these things don't have to go together, man.
No.
Like, sometimes I just want steak. Sometimes I want fish. Sometimes I want ice cream. But don't try to make a sandwich out of all of those things. It just won't work.
Yeah, well, also...
It's like when they made a... Sorry, go on.
Well, also, I don't ever want Lifetime. I don't ever want to see this shit, ever. Now, maybe I'm like the only woman in the world who's like, the instant you show some woman screaming and crawling her way for, I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not interested in this. This interests me not in the slightest. I have no interest in seeing male sexuality being portrayed as being toxic and violent. No, thank you. I may be the only woman in the world who's like that. So don't appeal to me, obviously. If you want to make a show that's popular, don't appeal to me. Put the rape in. Put the constant, endless, fucking male sexual violence in. Put it in. Put it in. Fuck, do it. Whatever. I'm quitting. Goodbye.
Yeah. Do it! Guys, if you know of a good science fiction show, and I mean a real one, that asks you questions and has like topics worthy of guys like Ray Bradbury or Rod Serling, please share it, because this fucking Lifetime shit has got to stop. So, and that's it.
Like, I'm pretty sure they made a biopic film of Charles Darwin once, and they made like a sub-story of it, like his relationship with his wife and that business. And they did a biopic film of fucking Einstein once, and even that had his family troubles in it. And one about Alan Turing. I watched it on the plane actually. It's called The Imitation Game, and even that had like a side story about the gay guy and his wife.
You can have that as a I mean, God, Jesus.
It's always a focus.
Well, it's like what's the one where Russell Crowe, Beautiful Mind? You know, like I don't know, like there is a problem with a need to make a medium appeal to as many people as possible that it ends up watering down like a specific core part of it. And instead of allowing it to just be like this, I'm gonna go on a little bit of a side thing, but there is a reason why movies like Aliens and Terminator are still fucking classics. It's because they were not when they originally were made, there was no attempt to water them down to appeal to as many people as possible. They ended up persisting and creating their own they made their own pop culture impact that it stayed over 30 years to this day, or close to 30 years, to be, considered a film classic. And one of the reasons why is because it didn't try to appeal to everyone. It just was like, this is what we're doing. This is a movie about a robot that travels back in time to kill a woman so she doesn't give birth to a child. And we're going to send a soldier back to help try to stop him, and we're going to have a bodybuilder play the robot. Fuck it. If you don't like that, then go watch something else. Julia Roberts has something coming out that year.
Keep your Lifetime bullshit out of science fiction. Keep it out. And I'm not talking about you can have people have relationships, but just keep out your endless fucking desire to have outrage over male sexuality. Just keep it out of there. Keep it out. Women, keep your fucking outrage bullshit. Don't sniff science fiction up in your nose for your outrage high. Ugh. I don't even know if I made any fucking sense. I'm sorry.
Challenge us. Just challenge us. Please. We're not all that stupid. All right, I'm done. Go fuck yourself.